Now, Star Wars The Book of Boba Fett may have been a little controversial on whether you liked it or not. One thing we can agree is there was some good episodes. And also there was some bad episodes. So in this video, we're going to be ranking the episodes from worst to best in Star Wars The Book of Boba Fett. And if you might have noticed, the audio might not be as good as normal because actually I'm not using my microphone right now. I actually wanted to get a headset because my microphone is not really made for like recording stuff. It's more of a different type of microphone. But I was going to get a headset with included mic, so sorry if the audio is not as good as it is. I'll try my best. Anyways, let's get right into it. So starting off at number 7, because there are 7 episodes, we're going to start with the Chapter 3, The Streets of Maz Espa. Now this episode, it was definitely the worst one. We can kind of all agree. Even if you look at IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, they agree that this one's the worst episode. Now this episode was kind of mostly filler. It kind of like switched away from the main plot for one episode, and then started with a whole different plot that had nothing to do with the main plot. So the side plot, it really didn't matter that much. It was kind of just about him trying to gather some street gang to go help him fight the Pikes. And there was so much build up in the last episode, and then boom, it kind of gets wasted away for this episode, which has nothing to do with the main plot. Sure, they make mentions, but it's like this episode takes place before the other episode, because they really only make a mention to the Pikes at the end of this episode. So I really did not like this episode that much. I'm not saying it was a bad episode. It was an okay episode, but still not as good as some of the other episodes. And honestly, you could have skipped this episode and you actually wouldn't be that confused. That's really to tell you this episode was mostly filler, let's be honest. And it kind of interrupted the flow of the season with just basically like it was perfect. The flow was perfect. And then this was a side plot that didn't really matter. Not saying it was a bad episode, but I'm saying it has to be the worst episode. Next, at number 6, we're going to move on to Chapter 4, The Gathering Storm. So, Chapter 3, I really like this episode because honestly it had action throughout the entire episode. That's what I liked so much about it. It was honestly a really good episode, but then again, since this ranking comes up, it has to go at second place. This episode did explain an important story of Boba Fett on how he met Fennec Shand, because I was honestly wondering about that. I knew they were going to explore it, but it's nice to see that they did actually explore it. And honestly, it did bring us back to the Sarlacc pit with, you've seen the episode, that satisfying scene where he drops that seismic charge. Let's play the clip. It's beautiful. So honestly, this episode was really nice, and I really did like this episode, but not as good as some of the other episodes in comparison. At number 5, we're going to move on to Chapter 1, Stranger in the Strangeland. So I know this episode is really controversial, but in my opinion, honestly, I think it was a good start to the series. A lot of people thought that it was kind of boring. I kind of had the same issue as The Phantom Menace. Too much politics, too much talking, not enough actual action. But I did think the beginning of the episode may have been a little slow, but the end was kind of good. So action mainly started the attack with the Night One assassins. At that straight on, we got Boba Fett killing some people. But another issue with him is that basically he got hit once and then he's like, oh my god, I'm injured. Let's go to the back to tank. He honestly wasn't as strong as he used to be. But to be fair, he kind of is a kind of weak character. The character that goes out by being hit by a blind man into the Sarlacc pit. But still, it didn't kind of be nice to the character. It's kind of like making the character be more weak than what he really should be. But the end of the episode made up with a nice battle. It was kind of worth it at the end of the episode with a huge battle. I couldn't say huge, but a nice battle with Boba Fett with one of the, I believe it's actually a crate dragon, a species of crate dragon. Next, at number 4, we'll move on to Chapter 2, The Tribes of Tatooine. So this episode introduces us to Black Krrsantan, which if you don't know who he is, I'll talk about him quickly. So Black Krrsantan was originally in one of the Obi-Wan Kenobi comics, and he basically actually was able to fight against Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he has some brass knuckles, which can do a lot of damage. He doesn't use them much in the episode, but he does have electric knuckles of some sort. So he's got like a little electric thing on his knuckles, electric rings that he uses. But still, you don't really he was kind of like basically just a throwaway character for that, like a big cameo, and then you thought he was going to fight, and then no, Boba Fett's like, nah, we'll keep the peace. So it didn't really get much action until the end. The end definitely made up. This was a really good episode, let's be honest. Boba Fett was teaching the Tuskens to ride speeders, and there was a huge battle at the end, climactic, worth it, a train heist, a classic, high stakes, pretty much all good. And honestly, this episode was pretty impressive to see. The ending, the last 10 minutes did die down a little bit, but to be fair, it gave us a good climax, so I'll let that one go at number 4 for the best episode. Number 3 is going to be Chapter 5, Big spoilers. I know I should have said spoiler at the beginning, but I'll pop it up on anything. But huge spoilers for this. The episode is literally titled Return of the Mandalorian. So the episode opens up with the Mandalorian himself, Din Djarin, aka the Mandalorian. So this was a strong start to the episode. Mando's back, but then honestly, at the end, it kind of slowed down a little bit, and it wasn't. I'm not saying it was a bad episode, but it slowed down from the action. It was pretty much a full episode with Mandalorian and steered away from Boba Fett. So basically, this episode was the book of the Mandalorian, not the book of Boba Fett. So this episode was more of a tease for the next episode and slash a tease for the Mandalorian season 3 with us seeing Grogu. And honestly, this episode was really good, though if it had a little more action, it would have been even better. But this is mostly of a filler episode, but this was good filler. This was the type of filler that you kind of want to see more often rather than the other filler. I'm not saying this was a bad episode. This was definitely a great episode, but could have involved a bit more action, but definitely not saying this was a bad episode in any way. Next, at number 2, this one's probably going to surprise you. I'm putting Chapter 6, From a Desert Comes a Stranger. Now, whoa. Don't get angry when you start typing in the comments. Whoa, what are you thinking? Honestly, this episode was really good, but I think the next episode is slightly better. So this one opens up with, first of all, Din Djarin finding Baby Yoda. We get to see Grogu again, and then we get to see Luke again. And honestly, they've improved the CGI, which is even better. There are so many cameos in this episode. Woof. If you haven't already seen a breakdown of this, I suggest go check out New Rockstar's breakdown, because honestly, there are so many cameos in this one. We also get to see a nice look at what happened to Grogu during Order 66. It never finished it. We didn't see Mace Windu, because I know he's there. Honestly, I'm sticking with the Mace Windu theory. It was him. And Samuel L. Jackson has always said that he's still alive, but that's for another video. But it was a cool flashback. It was always entertaining. And then right at the end, when you couldn't think it could get any better, Cad Bane just pops out of nowhere, back with the same voice actor from the Clone Wars. They could have fixed the nose a little bit. I felt that the nose was not it was too wide in my opinion. I felt it could have been slightly thinner, but that's not so big. And the cliffhanger wants to keep you watching the show right when you think he kills Cobb Vanth. Is Cobb Vanth alive? Is he dead? Well, now we know he's alive, but still, it was a really nice setup for the ending of this one. So then at the end, at number 1, it is Chapter 7, In the Name of Honor. So yes, I know some of you might have not liked this episode, but personally, in my opinion, I thought this was the best episode. This episode was full of action, completely full with action. It never got boring at all. I felt it was always nice seeing you, especially when you got to see those, I believe they're called scorpion droids. I don't know if they're called scorpion droids, but they were basically just oversized droid cuts. I thought that was really cool, and some nice connections to the Separatists, which I thought we could see more of them. They look really cool. It even keeps it exciting when Grogu comes. And then the Rancor in the end. The Rancor in the end was new. You get to fight a Rancor. That would be really cool. And honestly, this could really be setting up some sort of Mandalorian video game, because there have been rumors for a while that there will be a Mandalorian video game, and I could see that coming, especially with these like big boss battles or something. Now, Boba Fett, in the end, he does kill Cad Bane. Or does he? That's another thing, maybe for another video, possibly. But personally, I do think that they wouldn't kill such a strong character just like that. And you can even point out that there is a button blinking on his chest. That could be him signaling Total 360, his droid, to go help him up. And then in the end, this does set up Mando Season 3. But does this set up a Book of Boba Fett Season 2? We don't know. They kind of left it open. But honestly, with the bad press it's got, I don't know what they're going to get. Now, there we go. That's all 7 episodes of Star Wars The Book of Boba Fett ranked from worst to best. I'd love to hear your rankings down in the comments below, because honestly, all the episodes were pretty good. Some episodes were better than the other, like I said, but that's basically it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. More Skywalker Saga content coming soon. There's a tease, and bye.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
So be it, Jedi.